that playful competitiveness has been able to, from what I've observed and what I've heard, that's been able to come out so much more, which their kids have been able to benefit from that because now they can see their dad and their mom engaging in a way that lifts each other up, and everyone benefits from that.
Yeah, your win is not my loss. My win is not your loss. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's the belief system that this podcast is built on.
Conscious couples, business partners, and singles committed to attracting their dream partner. Welcome to the Conscious Couples podcast, where we share our life, love story, and combined relationship expertise to help you create and consistently cultivate the most magnificent, intimate relationship possible.
Never again will you feel hopeless and alone in your intimate relationship challenges.
Having accumulated thousands of hours coaching conscious couples and individuals all over the world, as well as starting and growing a global business together, Alan and I are here to guide you in all things relationships.
Thank you again for tuning into the one place where it's not about you or me, it's about the we. Conscious couples and individuals, welcome back to the one and only Conscious Couples podcast. Today we have episode 165. Does your partner get competitive? Before we jump into this episode, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions for producing this show and so many others. Personal development, personal growth, self-improvement, mental health, all of the good things that we, Emilia and I, believe need to spread rapidly in the world. Thank you all, our Conscious Couples community, for being here with us. Thank you to Next Level Podcast Solutions. And sweetheart, as always, it's ladies first. It's a Sunday. It's Monday for our listeners. Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday.
We hope you a productive, successful week. It's been a hell of a couple weeks for me personally. We had our live event yesterday. Emilia has been tremendously supportive in that. Thank you so much, my love. And now here we are on the Conscious Couples podcast train, helping people flourish in their intimate relationships. And for Emilia and I, it is a Sunday. And happy Monday, everyone.
So my intention for this episode for our listeners is to highlight the nuances between you and your partner around this word competition. And my hope is that by the end of this episode, you will know where your partner gets competitive and how that competition actually helps to construct a brighter relationship and a brighter future for you, or deconstructs some of the fundamentary truths that relate to trust in a relationship.
Okay, so I have a story that I think a lot of people will relate to. Think about everyone out there watching or listening. Think about your past and think about a person in your life, maybe not an intimate partner, but anyone in your life when you were a kid. Kids can get very competitive, and kids can get really competitive in a toxic way.
Not nice.
The sore loser way.
Oh, yeah.
I've been there at times.
Really?
I have, yes. Yeah.
That surprises me.
I know. And I don't think it was my norm, but at times for sure. But I never did this. What I'm going to tell you guys, I've never done this before. So there was one person from my childhood, who I will keep nameless, who, when he was on my team, whether it was a board game or a video game or any sort of sports activity, when he was on my team, he rooted for me like you wouldn't believe. We were a good team, especially in video games. We were one of the top 2v2 teams in the world for a game called Halo 1 way back in the day. Halo's a very famous game for people who are older like me, my love. And when he was on my team, he was all supportive. But back in the day, whenever he wasn't on my team, he would literally say, I don't even care if I win. I just need to see Alan lose.
Oh.
Now,
Nice.
I want to share this with everybody. I was definitely the kid who tended to be better at most things than most of his friends. And I definitely identify as someone who is good at stuff, gets good at things fast. I also love getting good at things, okay? Now, fast forward. I'm in my late 20s, and one of my exes, one of my intimate partners, one of my exes, we were up in Maine with another couple, and we were playing Monopoly. And this is a relationship that wasn't great for me. And I had a moment during the Monopoly game where I started to notice that they were teaming up against me.
Mm.
And I had this really gut-wrenching moment of, she doesn't even care if she wins. She's trying to make sure that I don't win. And they're teaming up against me. What does that mean? What is that about? And I had a really gut-wrenching moment with that. And this person was competitive, for sure, but not in a good way.
Mm.
And again, I'll keep it anonymous always, of course, but I am so freaking grateful that I got out of that relationship. And it wasn't long after that I did. But the point that I want to make here is, if any of you have experienced any level of that, where unconsciously or subconsciously your partner wants to one-up you or be better than you or be smarter than you or make more money than you or be the one who's seen as more competent, there's a toxic way to be competitive and there's a playful, constructive way to be competitive. Now, fast forward to Emilia and I. Emilia and I have a sleep competition, quote unquote. We send each other our sleep scores on Aura every single day, and she is definitely winning. Strong work. But the truth of the matter is I actually want to see her win. I've been the most supportive for her sleep and for her memory and for her brain health and for her health and fitness. I am not kidding, babe. I actually want to see you win even more than I want to see me win. And to a detriment at times. And that's a dangerous game. That's the hero complex. That's the martyr. Like, you will do anything to see your partner win. That is really good if you have another partner who's also doing that. So with Emilia, that's a really good thing. She was so supportive over the last month plus, preparing for Next Level Live 2025, which was on Saturday. By the way, shout out to any conscious couples out there or conscious singles out there who came. Thank you so much for coming. It was amazing. 6 hours of personal development back to back to back. I mean, it was great. And it was also a lot on top of everything else I'm doing. So thank you so much, sweetheart, for your support. Seriously, thank you. And Emilia's a speaker. She's a podcaster. She does events. She wants to see me shine regardless of this zero-sum game mindset we're going to get into. So a zero-sum game mindset is not what Emilia has. Emilia has collaborative, competitive, better, make each other better, help inspire each other, lead by example. What people in the past, these two people I referred to at the beginning of this episode, were doing is they had a zero-sum game mindset, meaning in order for me to win, I need to see Alan lose. And that's not how it actually works, especially if you're in an intimate relationship. Emilia's win is my win.
Yeah, that's that infinite mindset. I think that there's so much power in that.
The growth mindset versus the fixed mindset. So when Emilia succeeds, that is me succeeding. When I succeed, that is Emilia succeeding. She doesn't have to lose for me to win. This isn't a poker game. And so that's what we want to talk about today.
Right. And a lot of people, this is something that we see couples, it shows up in these weird nuanced ways that when we're on relationship talks coaching or we're around other couples or we're just observing in real time, you can see this come out, that zero-sum mindset. And what that really unconsciously is doing is, if my partner goes and shines or goes and wins or does anything that's getting attention or is celebrated, that's going to take away from me. And the layer underneath that is, if it takes away from me, then I won't be able to control my partner. And so it has a root fundamentally in control.
So you had a partner in the past who very much wanted to dimmed your light. Didn't want to see you shine. Didn't want to see you shine. That's what this is. He didn't dial you up and want to see you shine. Can you talk about what that was like with the zero-sum mindset?
I think what's interesting in many ways, looking back, this past partner really told himself a story that he wanted to see me shine.
Yeah, but his unconscious
in his own words. But when it came down to his actions, it was very different in that. So for an example, my partner at the time was excited for me that I was able to go to an extraordinary college and get higher education and all that.
On the surface,
but also thought that it was just a piece of paper. And when it came down to really needing my focus time when I was studying for exams and whatnot, or I would go to extra office hours to be with my professors, that would almost be an inconvenience and it would be questioned. Like, why are you doing that? And from a place of distrust and a lack of control, I thought we were supposed to have our conversations or a FaceTime or whatever. And it's like, instead of going out and zooming out and being like, oh, she actually takes her studies and academics incredibly seriously. And she wants to look at the holistic view of whatever it is that she's learning. So she's going to learn every little bit and piece she can about what she's studying, because it's not just about getting 100% on her exam. It's so much more about extracting the knowledge, the wisdom, the principles, so that she can have that knowledge and education for the rest of her life and be able to apply it in future circumstances with businesses, with teams, with people, with families, etc. And that would always come out in those non-supportive and trying to make me feel bad about doing what I was doing.
And a growth mindset or a non-zero-sum game mindset would be, she's getting an education for our future and for our children, and her career will be better, and we'll be able to live in a better home, and we'll be able to afford our kids college and opportunity, and I'll get to meet new people. Yeah. There's no downside to your partner getting better except for your own fucking insecurity.
Facts.
And if you are so scarce that you don't want to see your partner win, that means you got to work on yourself.
Yeah, that's a you problem.
That's a you problem.
You and I both know a couple, like, where when we first met them, the male in the relationship didn't have high levels of self-belief.
Yeah.
And he was able to work with us through RTC to a degree where we really fluffed that out, for lack of better words. We sussed that out and really named it. And that helped to catalyze such a beautiful mental health journey on his end, because he came from a very scarce place where he told himself, same thing, a story that he wanted to see his partner flourish. But when it came down to the kids needing to get cared for while she was kind of doing her calls or doing whatever it was that she needed to do to help her flourish in her career, travel, etc., right? Work late nights sometimes, there would always be an issue, or there would always be whenever she was shining, there would be a teardown, because unconsciously his narrative was that her shining, she would leave me behind.
Yeah.
And instead of having a very similar narrative pop off of that means I should go support her, or that means I should go do my own work. That means that I shouldn't try to tear her down. In the past, it was very much that. It was poor me, sad, you took something away from us, villainizing her for her going out and shining. Now, they've come a long way, and it has been really quite beautiful to see their transformation, from the brink of divorce to now, like, really in a beautiful spot where she is still shining, and good on her for that. And he is far more supportive and has instead shifted from a zero-sum mindset to really being humble and saying, it's more of a reflection upon me at the fact that I am not celebrating her. I'm not being like playfully competitive with her in the areas that are shared interests. And so they've been able to, like, whether it be like bass fishing or some of the things that they'll do together, that playful competitiveness has been able to, from what I've observed and what I've heard, that's been able to come out so much more, which their kids have been able to benefit from that, because now they can see their dad and their mom engaging in a way that lifts each other up, and everyone benefits from that.
Yeah. Your win is not my loss. My win is not your loss. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's the belief system that this podcast is built on. Going back to that couple you're referring to, the female in the relationship who's extremely growth-oriented eventually had to say, listen, I can't do this anymore unless you're going to grow too.
Yeah.
And when she said that, they had a week or two where they were on the brink, to your point, of divorce. And the male in the relationship, I'm so proud of him, had reflected on this and said, I need to do the work because I would rather do the work and be with you than not be with you. It's worth it. You're worth it to me. Yeah. You're worth it.
Hi, everybody. I wanted to jump on here and talk about the Conscious Couple podcast that I've been listening to for a while now, and I absolutely love, whether you're single, in a relationship, or not, this is the podcast for you. I mean, think about it. If you're not in a relationship, look at it like building a house. If you were going to build a house, wouldn't you get the instructions, figure it out, look it over, start practicing some of the little things so that once you start doing it, it's going to be the best house that you ever built. Or if you're in the house already and there's issues that are going on with it, aren't you going to try and fix them? Or think about it while you're building the house and the base layer, there's some issues there. Don't you want to correct those and fix them before you work on the rest of it? Have a great day, guys. Awesome podcast.
So if your partner is not worth the work, and if you're out there watching or listening and you feel like you're unconsciously being held back by the scarcity of your partner. I heard a quote one time by Bob Proctor way back, one of his speeches. He said, they want to see you win, but they're afraid if you win, they're gonna leave. And they want to see you win. No, 1 second. They want to see you win, but if you win, they're afraid you're going to leave. And they don't want to see you leave. So they only want to see you win when you're next to them. And sometimes you have to leave to win. That's referring to friends. Yeah. Sometimes intimate partners. If I could go back in time and you could go back in time with this level of awareness, we would say younger Alan, younger Emilia, what in the actual fuck? And I would say to younger Alan, seriously, I'm being playful, but I would say to younger Alan, there's something wrong with that. You literally want to see her win in Monopoly.
Yeah.
You want to see her win in everything. You want to see her win in everything. But that's an abundance thing. Listen, you can't give away what you don't have.
For sure. Babe.
I believe in myself. You believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And you want to see me win, and I want to see you win. And so, at the very least, everybody out there watching or listening, check in with yourself. Send this to your partner, maybe. Have them check in with themselves and see if there's friendly competition. Because Emilia and I, we work out together. Yeah. We weight train together. We have a sleep score thing together. She supported me so much over the last month and a half. And if she had this your win is my loss mindset, she wouldn't have supported me because, quite frankly, she lost some momentum in her business because she was busy supporting me in my business.
Yeah.
But she knows that that's a long-term win for our family and for our future. And so all of that is built on abundance, and abundance starts in here, in your heart and in your mind. Yeah. And I think that in hindsight, there have been a lot of partners who did maybe want to see me win. Mm-hmm. They wanted to, but they didn't really want me to deep down because they were so scared that if I did see my value or shine or become successful. I went to LA in my early 20s, and in hindsight, I do realize that I think my partner was a little bit scared of me being successful in Hollywood because of what that would mean for our relationship. My interview at SpaceX that I canceled. And I think this goes for friends, family, and intimate partners as well, because if people are scarce and they don't want you to outgrow them, that's just something very dangerous, and you got to watch out for that.
Yeah, I remember a memory came to mind when we were talking about this, and I can have distinct memories pop up, which I think is very fascinating in this arena, around recalling board games that I used to play with family members and siblings. Yeah. And I was always taught the lesson of like never be a sore loser, right? I was extremely involved with sports and athletics and dance competition. So many scenarios where collaboration truly was key. And that was, when you have a better soccer team, not because you have one player, but because the team in a nutshell is better, you're gonna crush. Yeah. And if you lose, every lose is still a win. So that's a big difference there. But if you have a team, and I remember there was one town that was just a ton of sore losers, that every time they lost, they would play dirty. They would
not shake your hand.
Yeah. They were rude as heck. And I remember, just from my coaches to my parents to the teachers, it was always the message that I absorbed. And it just made sense with my highest self, was don't be a sore loser. No one wins when you're like that. And I remember as a child playing board games with my siblings, I was the only one that fully embodied that. My brother and my sister couldn't, and they didn't. And especially my brother too. He had a really hard time growing up because I was always better at certain things and would situate experiences that would make sure that I would lose and or would showcase his skill sets in an arena that he's been working on for decades. Whereas I'm the little sister, it's I lost. So whether it's the siblings, and then that transfers over into friend groups. And if that's your normal and in your household where maybe your parents are sharing this narrative, but yet your siblings aren't embodying it, and you're the only one that's really not being the sore loser, what tone does that set for the relationships and what you tolerate? So the relationships and intimate relationships that I had, I wanted to believe everyone absorbed that narrative of don't be a sore loser. You can be competitive, but you can't outshine your siblings, right? You can be competitive, but you can't outshine your partner. And I remember absorbing that over time, and looking back, it's so obvious that started at home. That started to really bring in something into my intimate relationships that I'm so grateful that I didn't settle in my last long-term relationship, because of the fact that I had learned that and accepted finally that not everyone actually does have what we're talking about, the ability to give even when you quote unquote lose. The infinite mindset of when I win or your partner wins or someone else around you wins, that doesn't take away from you.
Yeah.
And someone who does the work knows that.
Yeah.
They will see, even if there's a little part of them that's like, shit, like I wish I did better. It's not, I wish I did better because you're upset that they did great. It's, I wish I did better because I know that I can do better.
I used to say, if you are unhappy for someone else's success, that's not a good sign.
Yeah.
That means you got to look inside of
Right.
why are you unhappy for someone else's success? Now, if they lied, stole, cheated, if they were out of integrity, I mean, that pisses me
Same.
off
Right there with
so
you.
bad.
Yeah.
But Emilia and I, we work out together, and sometimes she's strong. I mean, really strong. If I was an insecure man,
Oh yeah.
I would have these
Be like,
weird.
babe, I don't know about that. You know, that's a little too heavy. You wouldn't be behind me if
I'm
going
literally,
into my
babe, you
extrovert.
got it. I mean, I'm like, up,
You're the
up,
best.
you got this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
it's been interesting to watch you recondition
Oh my
after
God.
that pass, and me too.
Yeah.
Babe, I actually on this podcast want you to
I know.
shine more, better, do better, more. Yeah, it's so
To
interesting.
the point where
yeah.
it pisses you off when I suck.
Same, vice versa.
Because you know my potential.
Yes,
Yeah,
and same when I'm not
beautiful.
stepping up to the plate, that's the only time. So the best, we'll end with this, but if you're in a relationship right now where you feel like your partner wants to see you shine, it's like a light dimmer. We use this metaphor all the time. They want to dial you up, the very best of your essence. They want to dial it up, not down.
Mhm.
They want to see you win with or without them,
Yeah.
right? Preferably with, but with or without them. I want to see you win regardless.
Same.
Seriously.
Same.
I
'Cause that's who I am.
I say on the podcast, the Next Level University podcast, I say things like, I brag about you all the time. I mean, I do. And I say, I'm not saying that because she's my partner. I would
Yeah.
say that even if she wasn't, right? I bragged about
Same.
Bianca at the event. I
Yep.
bragged about Andrew, my client, at the event.
Yeah.
I want to see people win.
Yeah.
And I do realize, and this is what my
This-
business partner, Kevin, has helped me see.
Mhm.
He said it's very hard to want to see other people win when you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the point. If you are out there watching or listening and you think that your partner or you are competitive in a destructive way rather than a constructive way, the first place to start is to look at your level of self-belief, which is known as self-efficacy. You can look that up
Mhm.
and you can build it. And there's a
Yes.
formula to build it. And if you want help building it, we have relationship talks coaching. Emilia, you mentioned this earlier. You said RTC. You said it kind of soft. I was hoping you'd enunciate RTC. Relationship talks coaching. Grow together, not apart. RTC.
We'll have to work on that. RTC.
I don't know if I can hit that note.
With that said, we also invite you to our next relationship talks event.
Nice. Excellent.
Which is number
Excellent.
46. It's going to be April 17th, the third Thursday of every month, but it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So do not miss it. The topic itself is going to be how to create more quality time with your partner. So many of us right now, we don't realize it, but the way technology has become such a critical component of our life, it has stolen so much of our time. Now, it's not the technology. Let's be real. It's the user and how we're using it. And so when we're hanging out with our partners, are we scrolling? Or are we watching TV? Or are we actually spending real, beautiful, emotionally present quality time with our partners? When we look at the stats, Alan, you shared some stats around social media,
I
which
would
we'll
like
share
to.
at the event. I think we should absolutely share at the event. When we look at the stats, it shows that we are far more doing the former instead of the latter. And so this event is all about how can we, amongst the times that we live in now, how can we create more time, more quality time with our partner, especially because we're busier than ever. So please join us at that event. The link to register is in the show notes.
As someone coming off event season, and we just got done again with Next Level Live 2025, I was spending time with Emilia. I was not spending as much quality Quality is the key word.
Yeah.
What does quality even mean? Not
Right.
just to you, but to your partner.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to get into at the next event. We hope to see you there. As always, it's not about you or me. It's about the we. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Conscious Couples podcast. We love connecting with the Conscious Couples community, so please make sure you follow us on Instagram. I am at Evolve with Emilia, and Alan is a Lazaros 88.
Also, if you or your partner resonated with this episode, leave us a review at the link in the show notes, and please share this with someone you love and care about.
Until next time, remember, it's not about you or me. It's about
the we.